Everything seemed to be going right for Kelly Clarkson. Her daytime talk show was winning awards, attracting loyal viewers, and growing into one of the biggest success stories on television. From the outside, there was no sign of trouble. That's why her decision to walk away shocked so many people. Why would someone leave when everything appeared to be working perfectly? And was there more to the story than anyone realized? For years, Kelly had done something few entertainers ever manage. She successfully transformed from a chart-topping singer into a beloved television host. Audiences connected with her humor, honesty, and warmth. The show continued to earn praise and recognition, making her future in daytime television seem secure. Then came the announcement that changed everything. Fans were stunned. In an industry where successful shows often stay on the air for years, walking away from a winning formula seemed almost impossible to understand. Questions immediately followed. Why now? What changed? And what could be important enough to make her step away from something she had worked so hard to build? But here's where the mystery deepened. This wasn't a struggling program facing cancellation. The Kelly Clarkson Show was thriving. It had earned multiple Emmy Awards and established itself as a major force in daytime television. Ratings were strong. The audience was still there. By every traditional measure, the show was a success. And that created an even bigger question. If success wasn't the problem, then what was? As people searched for answers, many began looking beyond the studio lights and television headlines. The more Clarkson spoke publicly, the clearer it became that her decision had little to do with the show itself. She repeatedly emphasized that the program was doing well. There was no sign of failure, no indication that viewers had lost interest, and no suggestion that the show had run out of momentum. So if the show wasn't pushing her away, what was pulling her somewhere else? The answer appeared to be far more personal. Behind the cameras, Kelly was balancing a life filled with responsibilities. She wasn't only a singer and television host. She was also a mother, managing the same challenges that many parents face while trying to juggle work, family, and personal commitments. From the outside, it looked effortless. But private realities often tell a different story. Over time, circumstances within her family began to change. These weren't sudden developments. They built gradually, creating pressures that became harder and harder to ignore. What once felt manageable started demanding more attention, forcing difficult questions about priorities and time. And that's when everything began to shift. Professional success can create the illusion that everything is under control. But life doesn't always follow the same script. As family responsibilities grew more demanding, the gap between public expectations and private needs became impossible to overlook. The challenge was no longer about maintaining a successful television show. It was about deciding where her time and energy were needed most. Clarkson's own comments offered important clues. Rather than pointing to problems at work, she spoke about changes within her family. Those remarks suggested that this decision had likely been developing long before the public ever heard about it. What seemed sudden to viewers may have been the result of a long and emotional internal process. Then the story took an even more personal turn. One of the most significant developments came after the death of Brandon Blackstock, her ex-husband, and the father of her two children, River and Remington. His passing from cancer changed the reality of daily life in ways that could not easily be balanced with the demands of a public career. While audiences continued to see Kelly smiling on television, her private world had changed dramatically. The responsibilities at home became greater. Her children became the center of a new reality that required more of her attention, more of her presence, and more of her time. A daytime talk show may only appear on screen for an hour, but producing it requires constant preparation, planning, meetings, and commitments behind the scenes. For someone navigating major personal changes, those demands can become overwhelming. But how do you choose between a thriving career and the people who need you most? That question seemed to sit at the heart of Kelly's decision. Rather than expressing frustration with her career, she spoke about family and the importance of time. Her perspective reflected something many parents understand deeply. Career opportunities may come and go, but certain moments with children cannot be postponed. Once they pass, they are gone forever. That realization appeared to carry increasing emotional weight. Walking away from a successful show was never an easy choice. Kelly acknowledged how difficult it was. The program was performing well. It employed a dedicated team. It had become a major part of her life. Leaving that behind meant saying goodbye to relationships and routines built over years. Yet continuing on the same path carried its own challenges. The daily schedule demanded constant energy and focus. For someone experiencing major changes at home, maintaining that pace indefinitely may simply have become unrealistic. The decision began to look less like a desire to leave and more like an acknowledgement that something in her life needed to change. Some people saw it as a major career move. Others saw it as a shift in priorities. Either way, both views pointed to the same truth. Kelly Clarkson found herself standing at a crossroads where professional success and personal responsibilities were competing for the same limited resource, time. And time was becoming more valuable than ever. What makes this story so compelling is that it doesn't follow the usual Hollywood script. There was no public scandal.
No ratings collapse. No dramatic cancellation.
Instead, a highly successful entertainer chose to step away from something that was still working. That choice transformed her farewell into something bigger than a television story. It became a story about family, loss, responsibility, and the difficult decisions people make when life changes unexpectedly. As the conversation continued, Kelly reassured fans that she wasn't disappearing completely. She made it clear that she still had professional goals and creative ambitions. Music remains a major part of who she is, and she suggested that audiences would continue to see her in new ways moving forward. But exactly what comes next remains uncertain. Some believe she may eventually return to television in a different format. Others think music will once again become her primary focus. And there are those who see this moment as something entirely different, a personal reset, an opportunity to rebuild priorities after a period of profound change. For now, no one knows for sure. And perhaps that uncertainty is what makes this chapter so fascinating. The Kelly Clarkson that audiences came to know as a daytime television host is stepping into a new phase of life. One door is closing. Several others remain open. The future has not yet been written. What began as a shocking announcement has become a reminder that success alone does not determine the choices people make. Sometimes the most important decisions happen far from public view. Sometimes they are driven not by ambition, but by love, responsibility, and the recognition that certain moments matter more than any award or rating. So was Kelly Clarkson right to walk away from one of the most successful periods of her career? Or is there still more to this story than anyone knows? Only time will reveal what comes next. But one thing is certain. This doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like the beginning of an entirely new chapter.